Hello everybody and welcome to the House of Shin. And today is our last session before we head into 2021. And I just wanted to explore 2020 as far as the art of Shin is concerned, 2020 and then moving into 2021. So there are a few flows and sequences and energies that we use in Jinshin Jitsu that overlap. And what I like about Jinshin and why it is so effective, that we work through all these different layers. So we're working on pure energy and then it dancing down into the body. And I wanted to explore that with you today. So the way I set up this book, the core, the textbook that you've all heard about, is that we start with least dense and going to more dense. So I started with the first three, the main center source, the supervisor energy, and the mediator. And then going into the sequences and then the organ flows in the end. So that's from least dense to dense, from pure source energy that harmonizes our individual body to the organ flows, which are actual pathways that we can trace in the body, that some people can feel moving in the body very specifically. And so that's how Jeremiah did his research. So let's get into the practice, and I will guide you through something of 20 and 21, and you'll see what we'll do. So first we'll look at the long version of the supervisor energy, which is on page 49 here of my text, the core. It's right here. And so we're going to look at three energy sequences and flows today that all have in them 20 and 21. So when we look at the supervisor energy, we know that it harmonizes the right side and the left side of the body. So if you practice a right sequence, it will help to harmonize the right side of the body. So place one hand on your SEL 12 and place the other hand on the 20. So this is the first step of the supervisor energy, and it's also the first step of the gallbladder flow. So here you see that just by practicing this first step, that you get in touch with the gallbladder energy, the gallbladder flow, as well as the supervisor energy, starting to harmonize these both at the same time. And of course, they work on different levels. So, and this is what I think is so beautiful, how it moves through the different depths and through different intentions, really. Because when you practice the supervisor flow, you may have a different intention than when you decide to practice the gallbladder flow. And so you are holding the same points, you are holding the same safety energy locations. They have a different intention, and the energy, you don't even need to know. The energy will find its way and will bring to your body the harmony that it needs. So here, if we look at 20, it's located right at the middle of the forehead. And on a depth level, this area on the head right here helps depth too. So as we're beginning to harmonize the supervisor energy, harmonizing one side of your body, we're also harmonizing the gallbladder flow. And if you place your hand a little bit lower, closer to the eyebrow, you're harmonizing depth too as well. And sometimes you see a ridge here on the 20, and that tells you that the person is, or yourself, is probably thinking a lot. You're a thinker, and you can actually see this ridge here. So 20 really calms the mind. And it's at the same level of the third eye, which we use in the main center source. So 20 helps to open up our third eye as well. So for some people, it feels better if you go a little bit higher, or even the high 20, which is almost here on the hairline, or lower. So see what feels good for you and start feeling the energy move, start feeling a pulsation. Take a nice deep breath. Hi, Mom. My mother, Betty Kosman, is watching from Holland. So welcome, everybody. Hi, Henry and Natasha, Linda, Tira. It's so nice to see all of you. Mushira, glad you're joining. So this is interesting because the supervisor flow helps the energy to move down one side of the body while it ascends the other side of the body. So let's move to 21. And so here we see the movement of going from 2020 into 2021. So from 2020 into 2021. And that is right on one line. Every step that you do that is consecutive, so 20 and 21, or 5 and 6, or 11 and 12, that's all very powerful, so you can always use that. And 21 helps mental bondages, mental stress, and it helps to digest. It helps us digest physically and emotionally as well. Physically, because at the 21, the large intestine flow becomes the stomach flow. So it literally helps our digestive system. And when you look at it on a spiritual level, of course, 21 helps us to digest our thoughts. So when you hold 20 and 21, it helps the energy to descend. It helps the energy to move down the front and helps us to exhale, unloading. And then let's move to 22. 22 is happy wherever we are. So 20, 21, and 22 are powerful. And remember that the first few steps of the flow or the sequence, when you're doing that, it opens up the whole flow pattern. It facilitates the flow. So I always like to do the whole thing, but even if you choose to use the first few steps of several flows, you can mix and match them, particularly when you're practicing self-help. And so I would just like to bring it one step lower, to bring it below the waistline. And that will probably feel good. So let's move our hand to the 14. And then to 15. Yes, and then I'm really tempted to, of course, to get it out of this area and bring in the mediator aspect. So let's just add that. The next step is 1, the opposite 1. And of course, that helps digestion as well. So you see how these flows are put together in such a beautiful way. You have the energy moving down the front on one side while it ascends the back. And how it, even if it's a supervisor energy, we're still bringing in the mediator aspect by moving our hand then to the opposite 1. So we'll leave it here for the supervisor energy. And then let's look at the Harmonizing Eyes flow. So here it is. And in the middle of the flow, we're holding also 20, 21, and 22. So we're going to place, if you have eye projects, you're going to find some tightness in the armpit. The liver flow moves through the armpit. So even though this is not the liver flow, this is called Harmonizing Eyes. We get into the liver line, and that's the first step. So see which side feels more full or tightness, if you feel any congestion, and put your opposite hand in there, okay? And then with the other hand, we're going to the opposite 20. We're going to 20, 21, and 22. So this is part of the eye sequence. This is called Harmonizing Eyes, and it's a part of the 10 sequence, which we actually did the last time, the 10th sequence, to bring in the new beginnings. So you really, should be ready to receive 2021 and all of us together. So again, the intention of this sequence is different, as it is part of the sequences, part of the 10 sequence. So it has a different intention than the supervisor energy, even though the steps and the locations that we use are the same and even in the same sequence. So even if you have the intention of practicing a particular flow of sequence, you're bringing in automatically all these other levels and cycles of energy, and that is again why Jinshin is so powerful and so effective. So again, 20, clearing the mind, with this hand getting into the liver flow. Take a nice deep breath, and then let's move to 21. So you see here it is different. Here we are crossing our hand to the opposite side. And then observe what feels good to you, and how do these flows and sequences feel different for you? What feels right for you? This is really an art about getting to know and help yourself. And hi Erica, so glad you're joining. Happy New Year. Erica's in Brazil and she does a lot of live videos as well. And then let's move back to 20. So here we literally have 20, 21, and then again back to 20. So again, this is part of the eye sequence. And so you see how it would clear the eye. By going in here, you're helping the liver flow, which helps the opposite eye. And here you're actually clearing this area. So that's all I wanted to do of the eye sequence. And now let's go to Harmonizing SEL 20, 21, and 22. And here we go again with a different intention and very similar to the supervisor energy. So you can I'm going to practice the other side now, because it's always balancing right and left side. So it's good to change them around, and if you do one right flow, then use another left flow. So place one hand on your 12 and the other hand on the opposite 20. So as you can see now, this is exactly the same beginning as the supervisor energy. It's just our intention is slightly different as a practitioner. If you're practicing on someone, the person wouldn't necessarily know till you're well into the sequence, and then it's different from the supervisor energy. So 20, again, clearing the mind. So maybe during this time you do feel a little more fullness here on this line, and again that has to do with our thinking. If you see this ridge here, and this is also very good for labels like Alzheimer's or people who have a hard time remembering, like myself sometimes. This brings mental clarity. And you notice sometimes if people forget, they go like, oh, what was it again? You know, they're naturally tapping the 20. And then let's go to 21. And then let's go to 22. When you're ready, you can stay here. It actually feels really good. Calming. This is really calming our thoughts and stress. So these overlap. The quality is slightly different. Again, how it's placed on our body as well. 21, level of 21 is really the middle of the face. So it's probably related to waistline, and so is the stomach, and the stomach flow begins here. And then let's go to 22. And so here, this sequence would be different from the supervisor. With the supervisor energy, we continue down. And with this one, we're going to the index finger. So we would continue to go like this, or holding the index finger if you work with someone else. So please explore these flows and sequences. See the overlap, see where they are different, and see how they feel to you. And then the last one that I wanted to look at is the gallbladder flow. And that's on page 119. And here it is. Okay. So again, we're going to place one hand on the 12 and the other hand on the 20. So to me, this does feel different already. It's just my intention shifted, and it just feels more like an organ flow. They are denser, we can see them on the body. I'm gonna just show it again to you. But you can see the flow pattern in the body. And when we look at a sequence like the 20, 21, 22, you don't see a flow pattern, because it's not manifest in the body yet. So let's just move our hand down from the 20 to our tailbone, the coccyx. And then we'll move it to 16. So by now your energy should be moving, I'm sure. So then you can move through it a little bit faster as well. The first few steps, take your time, and then by the time you are really practicing and into it, the energy starts to move. You can move through the sequences and flows a little bit faster. So there's two ways to do that. Either you can stay with it till the pulse is completely harmonized in both your hands and even, or and harmonized means that they have this nice, silky and soft, beautiful pulsation. Or you can wait till the pulse comes up and then move to the next spot, because the energy moves from surface to core, and once it begins to move, it moves by itself. It continues to spiral. So that's, again, you are the artist, and remember that Jinshin Jitsu is an art, and you see what works for you and what feels right, and on different days that may be different for you. Every day we are anew. With every breath we are anew. With every exhale we are anew. So that is just a really positive thing. And then let's move it to the 16, which is the outside of the ankle bone. Very good. So let's just hold our fours together to end the session today. And for the meaning is the bridge, and it's the bridge between consciousness and unconsciousness, and the bridge between matter and spirit back to matter, and from 2020 into 2021. So let's move the energy over our head to 20, leaving 2020 behind us and moving with a positive attitude into 2021. And so I would like to end our session here. I will see you all in 2021. Have a wonderful, wonderful New Year, happy and healthy for you and your family. And we will all see each other next year.